As a business analyst, Scrum Master, or even a project manager, project specialist, do you notice that at times you struggle with how to relate things to your stakeholders? At times it's overwhelming, but it is fine. Yes, we know that two of the most important things are getting the work done and the impression you leave after everything is done. Yeah, what do your stakeholders remember about your experience or their experience with you? According to Maya Angelou, she says that she has learned that people would forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people would never forget how you made them feel. At the end of the day, how did you make your stakeholders feel? And yes, welcome back to the TechNet blog. And today we are going to look at top effective communication skills every business analyst, project manager, and scrum master must master. And if what we've shared in the past have been of good use to you, please comment, like, subscribe, and share. Today we are going to look at communication, effective communication, general communication, communication for project managers, business analysts, scrum masters. Then there are non-verbal, nice to have to know, when you are dealing with stakeholders, and also tools for effective communication and collaboration. Yes. Now, as you can see here, we have two pictures. One represents effective communication, and the other is you leaving your stakeholders in a maze or labyrinth or puzzle, leaving them confused. So today, what we want to achieve is how far we can go with effective communication with our stakeholders. So let's start with you. Yes, you and I. Where does communication actually start? Let's leave that in the parking lot. It begins in the mind and heart and then transcends to speech. Yes, you think about what you want to say, whether in your heart or in your mind, then you verbalize it. Also, it could be body language. How do you communicate with yourself, people around you, or those closest to you? Yes, how do you actually start that communication with yourself, people around you, and those closest to you? It starts at home, with your co workers, friends. Have you made some observations? Have you tried taking a class? Yeah, if you feel that you need to improve, not only taking a class, there are various resources online on YouTube and Udemy. Do you think you need to improve your communication skills? The work starts with you and it does not end because communication or whatever we do is all about continuous improvement. Now, let's look at the definition of communication. This is a process of exchanging information, ideas, thoughts, or feelings between people or group through spoken words, written text, gestures, body language, or digital media. So it is an exchange between people. It could be group. It could be anything, you know? And also, in communication, you have the sender, the person sharing the message. You have the message itself. You have the channel that the message goes through. Then you have the person you want to communicate to, right? And then feedback. So telling you that it's not about talking to someone, but also you are looking forward to that feedback. And that is where your stakeholders come in. Communication is how we connect, understand, and influence one another. Because at the end of the day, you need the word coming out from you to achieve something. Now you have effective communication. Effective communication is the ability to share information, ideas, or feeling in a way that is clear. So you are in this case, you're not just communicating, but whatever you are communicating has to be clear, accurate, understood. That means the other person must understand that and meaning to both the sender and the receiver. So you don't just throw words out and you leave. Okay? It is not just about talking. It is about ensuring the message is received the way it was intended and it leads to the desired understanding or action. So you don't want to pass along the wrong message. Now, there are key elements of effective communication. That is clarity. It should be clear, simple. This comes in for you to know your stakeholders. Know what you need to communicate to them. Know how you need to communicate to them. Active listening. So you're not just communicating, you are also paying close attention, whether it is your ears, eyes, body language. Feedback, checking back to make sure that everybody is aligned. Empathy. Yeah, there are times that you need to come in with, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry to hear that and all that. Non-verbal cues. Yes, you have to watch your stakeholders' body language. Adaptability, that is adjusting your style depending on the audience. That is the feedback you've gotten. You need to adjust yourself. Okay, maybe you're not getting positive feedback, so you have to adjust. Respect, creating a safe space for open dialogue. Yeah, that communication needs to be two ways. It should not supposed to be close ended. It has to be open ended. Okay, it's not like yes or no. No, you have to have a flow. Now, communication, there are several types of communication. So you have the verbal, the one you do over the phone, face to face, words, and all that. You have nonverbal, that is the body language, the facial expression, gestures. So that means when you're on call, you're on meetings, on Zoom, you are watching people's reaction. Written, that is the one you are sending through emails, Teams, memos. You have the visual, your chat, your graphs. You have the digital online. You have the formal versus informal, that is, the meetings and the one you have in the elevator. Then you have the interpersonal one-on-one team discussion, networking. You have the mass one, like you have over on the TV, radio, broadcast. Then you have the cross-cultural, multilingual cultural norms. But I know that the two main communication we know is the verbal and non-verbal. And I would say the third one, the one we don't see. Now, let's look at the general communication skills for everyone. Now, active listening. Yes, for you to fully understand what is being said before responding. So you are not just listening to talk. No, you are listening to get what is being said, to process it, then to give appropriate, clear feedback. Okay? Clarity and conciseness. Now, whatever that is being communicated has to be clear, simple, understood, and concise. You don't have to be all over the place. Make it as minimal as possible. People don't have all the time. Adapting to audience. You have to tailor your communication. For example, the way you communicate to your executive is not the same way you communicate to your technical guys or your client. No, you have to know your stakeholders and know how to communicate with them. And then the non-verbal skills, yes, very important. You have the body language, for example, when you're trying to explain something and you see your stakeholder like the facial expression, like maybe they don't understand what you're saying. You try to say it in another way that will make them understand. Or you can even throw out a question like, oh, do we have any questions, or do we get me? Do you want me to adjust, or can you see my screen and stuff like that? Okay. Empathy and emotional intelligence. This is very important. So you build trust and strong relationship when, for example, you demand for something from your stakeholders and they tell you, oh, they have been busy throughout the day. You say, oh, I understand. We all have so much to do. Just get that to me when it's more convenient to you. But I would like to, send out a communication on these discussion maybe by the end of the day. So you already like being empathetic. You are already also letting them know that this is very important, that they get it to you by the end of the day. Now, also, you have conflict resolution. Navigated through disagreement constructively. You don't have to, you can't stay on the left or on the right. You are working as a Scrum Master, as a business analyst, as a person, or as a project manager to bring everybody together. So you have to be conscious of, conflict, crisis, issues, and know how to navigate those. Okay. Feedback skills. Yes, giving and receiving feedback effectively. So make sure you ask your stakeholders for feedback. Even at times when you ask them, they say, everything is fine, fine, and all that. But when things go wrong. Okay. And also, you should know how to give your feedback as well when asked. Storytelling and visualization, very important. For example, when you are doing your requirement gathering and stuff, you can use visualization, you can use, well, you have so many tools out there for that, so that you make things more understandable. And maybe, for example, you're trying to explain to stakeholders how they can change their password. As simple as that, you put it in a story form or even share an experience. Okay, cross cultural communication, respecting diverse backgrounds and styles. Yes, you work with stakeholders from different parts of the world. So try to, even if it's possible, research about their culture, their country, and so that you know how you can relate with them. Digital collaboration. Yes, we are in the age of AI. You have to use tools like Asana, you have to use Zoom, Jira, Confluence, for your collaboration. Now, transparency and honesty. There is nothing as good as, having that knowledge that your stakeholders, they trust you because you are transparent. You make everything clear. You try to explain things, you try to make everything accessible to everyone. There is no mistrust. So you are building your credibility with your stakeholders. Now, handling difficult conversations. Yes. Try to stay calm because you meet so many types of people. Okay, so in those conversations, use words like I understand and all whatnot. Written communication, writing clear emails, user stories and reports. Make sure that whatever you are sending out is clear and legible. Remote communication, keeping distributed teams aligned across time zones. Yes, you work with people from different time zones. Make sure that you ensure that everyone is aligned. Now, listening for what's not said. Yes, there are so many things that are not said that you have to watch out for. Okay, you can even call your stakeholders afterwards to have a talk. I noticed that you didn't engage like you used to and stuff like that. So let's go into communication skills for project managers. So this would be based on leadership and stakeholder focus. Executive communication, that's presenting concise update to leadership. Yes, leadership, they don't have time to look at everything. So it has to be in bullet points and summary. Okay, the most important things. Negotiation skills. Yes, there are times that, yes, maybe your stakeholders, they are busy, they can't do this, but you need them to do this because some stuffs are dependent on it. So what do? You call them to the table, you try to negotiate the timeline, you try to tell them, okay, I understand that you're busy, but can we do it this way? Persuasion and influence. Yes, because they already trust you. Now you are able to persuade them, okay, and influence them by telling them that they are very important to this project, making them realize how important they are. Expectation management, aligning timelines, deliveries, and resources. There are so many expectations, and you have to manage those expectations. So, how do you manage expectations? What is expected of you when it comes to timelines? You follow up. Okay, like you don't have to wait for the timeline to elapse a few days or 3 days before then. You try to check up and make sure that, okay, we are going to meet up with this, we are not going to delay. Okay, and if there will be delay, you try as much as possible to manage that. Escalation handling. Yeah, when there are issues and you need to communicate, know the type of language you need to use. Okay, and as much as possible, you need to be calm and professional. Now, roadmap and vision communication. Whatever you do, whatever project you start on, try as much as possible to build a roadmap so that people will know where you're going. Conflict mediation. There are times when, as a Scrum Master or as a project manager, you have conflict, internal conflict. Now it is your job to resolve that. You come in the middle, try not to, side anyone. Change management communication, very important. Maybe you are going live with a new system. Make sure you build that guideline, you build that manual that will help everyone. You communicate closely, okay? Even if it's possible, you can form a Teams group. Status reporting, yes. Depends on the type of stakeholder you are working with. Some of them would want that status report to get to them by the month, weekly basis, by weekly basis. Stakeholder alignment, ensuring that all your stakeholders, they align, everyone knows what you are doing and all whatnot. Then for business analysts, asking powerful questions. Remember that your work as a business analyst is to discover, okay, and to ask all those questions. Maybe let's say during your requirements or your elicitation, try to try to rub minds with your stakeholders, try to ask those discovery questions, okay. Now, requirement elicitation communication, running workshops and interviews. Yes, you have to do this when you are meeting with your stakeholders for elicitation, maybe on your one-on-one interviews. Try to keep your questions open-ended, not close-ended, because when you use close-ended, it is a yes or no. You can't get everything you need. Visualization and diagramming, making sure that you have all your charts, when you are going for your meetings, you have your PowerPoint flows, and you don't just go, you have your talking notes, so that you manage your time effectively, you communicate, you streamline your communication. Also, maybe when you are building your maybe user experience, you are trying to maybe do your mock-ups, or you're trying to show like as it is and the future state. You are using wireframes, you are using flow charts, just to make everything vivid. Show them, okay, this is what we are expecting. This is how it's going to look like. Bridging the gap, translating business needs into technical requirements. Yes, when you are done with all your discussions with your stakeholders, you are now going to translate whatever has been collected into technical requirements. Okay. Now, for business analysts, let's continue. So, detail oriented writing. Yes, you have to know your earns. You have to know that you write your user stories, your test scripts, your acceptance criteria in a clear format. Listening for hidden needs. Yes, there are some pressing needs that your stakeholders may not come forward with, but they are very important. So you listen to those, okay? You call them out. Facilitation skills. You're going to do so many meetings and you need to be on top of those. Scenario communication. Using examples and use cases. Explain requirements. Giving them examples, making it vivid, even if it means having a demo. Validation communication. Now you collected your requirement and you want to make sure that everything is correct. At times you fix a meeting and you guys come to discuss it one after the other. Then you can now hand it over to them so that they can continue. Then for Scrum Masters, facilitating agile ceremonies. You have your stand-up, you have your sprint planning, your retrospectives. Yes, you have to facilitate this meeting. So you have to watch out for conflict. You have make sure everyone is aligned, make sure you are keeping to time. Servant leadership communication. This is your work to support your Scrum team. Okay, as a servant leader, creating psychological safety. Yes, people, you create that aura around you that people can come close to you and tell you things. Maybe also notice things. Maybe when someone is underperforming. Now, conflict coaching. Yes, it whenever there is an issue within the Scrum team, you have to lead them in such a way that they are able to solve or resolve their conflict by themselves. Agile coaching communication. Also, it is your work to make sure that everything agile practices or framework is being imbibed or kept to. Now, motivational communication. Yes, for example, when someone is not, performing as they used to, you talk with them and they tell you maybe they have issues and stuff. Try to, motivate them. Try to remind them how good they are. Impediment communication. Yes, we have an issue, so you have to know how you can, pass that message on to your stakeholders. Okay, as clear as possible. Feedback loops. Yes, you have so many feedback loops during Agile Scrum, maybe during your retrospectives. Okay, you know how you tell your stakeholders or even your team, oh, we did well here, but this we can even do better. Okay, cross-team communication, coordinating across squads, tribes, or projects, protecting the team, saying no to scope creep diplomatically. Yes, they say you can't say no, but at the same time, there's a way of saying no diplomatically. Okay, so that you don't delay. Now, there are great words to use for effective communication. For example, When it comes to clarity, you want to say, to summarize, in other words, specifically. And when it comes to, to build a rapport or empathy, oh, I appreciate your perspective. Thank you for sharing and all whatnot. Then for active listening, oh, I understand. And remember, you are nodding your head. I hear you, so that your stakeholders will know that you are there. Now, also for persuasion, oh, this research shows that, okay, the benefits includes, and then you have positive feedback. Well done. When you use such words for your team, they know they are doing well. Then you're smiling, okay, your posture, or okay. So when it also comes to constructive criticism, you can say, have you considered this? I suggest you try this. Then when it comes to you supporting your team, you can look at, okay, key takeaways or trends over time, or steps and all whatnot. Then let's look at communication tools. Very important, for the BAs, the Scrum, the project managers. Now, for the BAs, you have your requirement gathering and documentation. So, for requirement gathering and documentation, you can use Jira, you can use Asana, you can use Google Doc, you can use your Microsoft Note, you can use your Slack, you can use Miro, prototyping and visualization. And you know that most of these tools, they are used not just for communication, they are used for collaboration, okay? Because, for example, Jira, you can give everyone access and they are able to see what you're doing. People can correct us and you get feedbacks. And then when you now want to, tell everyone about something or keep everyone up to date, you are tagging people and they are getting that in time. Then for the PMs, you have the tools for your project and tax management. You can use Asana or Jira for reporting. When you want to communicate or collaborate, you have your Slack, you have your emails or Zoom. Then reporting and analytics. Also, you have your Power BI. Then another thing is your knowledge management. Okay, all those documentation and stuff. You can use your SharePoint or your Confluence. And then for the Scrum Master, for your Agile and Scrum facilitation, maybe for your stand-up and stuff, you can use Jira. Or for your sprint planning, you can use Jira, Azure DevOps. Also, then you have Trello or Miro. Miro, I love it for brainstorming. Then communications and collaborations, you can use your Zoom for your meetings. Teams, now you can use your Teams chat. Okay, you have your Slack, then tracking and reporting, you have your, Power BI, you have your Google Data Studio, you have your Excel. Then for knowledge sharing as well, you can use your Confluence. Now, for your free resources, don't forget to subscribe on the TechNet vlog. If you have questions, drop it there for us. And yes, I hope that we were able to help you when it comes to, the communication skills you need to have as a BA, as a project manager, as a Scrum Master. And yes, thank you so much and do take care. Bye.